This is the start of video number 7. Now that we're done with disassembling the engine, it's time to inspect our parts and get ready for assembly. So a lot of today's video is going to be about going through the manual, finding the manual, and checking the parts measurements to see if they would be rejected or good to use. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin, knowing your engine's model number is the most important part about finding a repair manual. Most of the time you can find these online for free. I happen to have a paper copy, and every one of the engines we have came with their own personal paper copy of just their specific model. So the 1300 series is the one we're looking at. The 130G32, that's the series we're looking at. So yeah, when we get into it, it's chapter 6 in this book for ourselves, excuse me, and we'll go ahead and get started with all that. To begin, the measurement tools we'll be needing is a set of feeler gauges. I have my own that I'm going to be using. We'll check the spark plug with the gapper, and then we need the micrometer so that we can measure everything to ensure it's correct. We won't be getting to assembling and torquing stuff down yet, so today we're just measuring the parts that, like our valves and stuff like that, to make sure that they still fit within spec. One other thing, I will have a separate micrometer reading video if you don't know how to read a micrometer. That'll show you exactly how it works. This is a 1-inch micrometer. So yeah. First thing we're gonna check is our valve stems diameter. So just like before, those should just slide right down. We can pull them out. Just like so. Got our intake and our exhaust. What we're going to do is we're going to use a micrometer. And according to our manual, our intake valve stem cannot be less than 2.08. So if it is, we'd have to order a new valve stem. So when you guys record this yourself, record it on a piece of paper or a worksheet if there's an available worksheet. But mine is 2.2, which is, or it's 0.220, which is perfectly fine. For the intake, the exhaust can't be bigger than, or can't be less than 2.1. And that is 2.17, so we're good there too. Go ahead and write those numbers down for your own. We'll go ahead and install that back in place. This is on intake side. Double check yours super zoomed out. Mine was on the intake side. If you have two, make sure they're both on there, but this one did not have two. That basically just helps hold it in place. So we can go ahead and put our springs back on, just like we did that other day. Push it down. And if we get to it in another time, we might have a demonstration on lapping a valve, but when I took a class learning about small engines, they told us people don't really lap their valves anymore. They just get a whole new setup here. All right, let me keep going through the manual. It says here, inspect the valve springs that they're not broken and all that, so everything looks good there. So another thing I want to point out in the manual, it'll tell you our torque specs that we need. And so when we're going through that later, when we're torquing everything down, there are our torque specs, because we're a 130G32 model. So there's what we torque down for, say, our muffler studs. But keep on going. The next thing I'm going to show you guys is how to measure our piston rings. So we have all three: our top compression ring, middle oil wiper ring, and oil control end ring. I'll show you guys how to measure one of them, because they're all going to be the same process. And then you guys will go ahead and record those down on your worksheet. To begin, you're going to need to take a ring off of here. You'll have to do each one. I'm going to do the top one for you guys. So you take this off of here, and then go ahead. You can probably take these bolts out. They might be in your way. You're gonna put your ring in there. As best you can. And you usually have all your piston rings off here, and you're gonna put your piston head in there. Make sure that it's straight onto there. Notice how I have my piston going the other way? That's so that we just make sure we have a straight finish, so that the piston is how it's supposed to be in there. So the piston ring's in there, right? So let me show you what it looks like. So right in here, I'm gonna zoom in. Got our piston ring in there. See that right there, this guy? Now what we're checking is this end gap. See if it'll focus. Go back a little. That end gap right there. Yep, perfect. Now you can see it. We're checking that. So we'll use our feeler gauges. What it says in the manual for the top compression rings, reject size is 0.04 or more. So with what I've got is I got 3 on here. We're gonna start off with the small one, see if the small one fits in there. Which it does. See it slide in there? That's just 0.05, 0.005, 0.007. Just gonna work our way up. And if I need to get more, I have more. This is .09. Feels pretty tight in there, but then we have 0.011 on here, which that fits in there. Look at that. So we know we're not over 0.04. Now let me show you the feeler gauges and explain them to you a little bit. So the ones that are given to us by Briggs and Stratton have 3. It has it marked on here. You got this thin part back here, which is our top number, 0.09. You have a thicker part right here, which is 0.011. So I just stick that into where we're trying to measure, and if it fits nicely, we know that it's that measurement. So it's 0.011 inches. So that covers the little bit about measurements on the basics of what I want you to do. You guys have a worksheet included today that will have listed out the parts of things I want measured. So go ahead and get that and get your measurements done.